Hi everybody, my name is Christine Fisher and this is my storytime presentation with extension activity suggestion. For this I will be reading The Mitten by Jan Brett. I kind of got inspired by the snow we had like a week or two ago, so I really wanted to do something that was wintry, and this was kind of the first thing that came to mind. So while I'm telling the story, I'll be using props. So what I did, I actually went up to Jan Brett's website, just janbrett.com, and she has a lot of information on her website, a lot of free materials that anybody can use. So she also has a lot of like coloring pages and things you can cut out, you can use for presentations. So what I did, I just printed off two different documents that she had. I did the animal document and I did the mitten one. The mitten one is it's just two sheets of paper. All it is just a big mitten that you just cut out. It just has a bit of design on it. I'm guessing if you want to, you could color it in. I did not, because the story says that it's a Snow White mitten that he has. So I didn't do anything with it. All I did though was I just cut it out, taped the edges together to make it kind of like a pocket, and I just put like a tissue in the bottom just to help to kind of keep it open a little bit. And as I'm telling the story, you can either do it one of two ways. You could have probably the mitten sitting out since the beginning of the story, so you don't have to reach around and go find it. Or the part where he says that he dropped his mitten, you can always have kind of the mitten kind of hiding to the side, and then you can always, kind of like plop it down on the table. And also the tissue inside helps to kind of keep it popped open, so you're not, kind of fidgeting on the side, trying to put the pieces inside of it, and it's not working out. So it's a little bit, it just kind of helps a tad bit. So, and the other part was the animal cutouts. So all I did is I went on there. It was just one sheet of paper. And they were all just outlined in just the simple black outline. Same with the mitten. So, but all I did though, I just went ahead and I just kind of colored them in. I guess I just wanted a little bit more color, a little bit more definition. Somebody else could probably take these and enlarge them, or if you wanted to make this useful for further on storytellings, I would recommend blowing them up and putting them on maybe cardstock. So they're a lot more sturdy, there'll be more weight, they'll actually go somewhere and be easier probably to find when we do the whole toss thing after the bear sneezes. Because that becomes a problem. Sometimes the toss doesn't work out very well with regular paper. I've done it about 10 times. It sometimes works, sometimes it does not. So, and then all I did though is that, let's see, like the first thing I'm going to come across is the mole. So as I'm reading this part, I have all the animals paper clipped on the back side of the page that they're introduced on. So then I just kind of, slide my finger down with that animal, and then I will pull it out and I can hold it up as I read the passage. And then as I'm done with reading it, I will then just turn and put it into the mitten. And then we'll continue on to the next section after that. So that's kind of about it for that. So, and I guess all we can do now is just read the book. So let's see how this goes. So, The Mitten by Jan Brett. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow white mittens, and finally Baba made them. After she finished, she said, "When you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound, but then I will look to see if you have your snow white mittens." So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Alright. Does anybody want to guess what's going to happen next to the mitten? Let's see. Alright. A mole, tired from tumbling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. Does anybody want to take a look and see if they can guess what this one is? Alright, let's look. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. Next, a hedgehog came shuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. Can anybody tell what this one is that's coming up next? As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in also, the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled, but when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Is anybody able to guess what's coming up next? All right, let's see. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox trotting by stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. Can anybody guess what's coming up next? Let's see. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, he began to nose his way in. The animals were packed in as tightly as could be. What animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged to many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast. Let's see. Can you tell what's coming up next? Anybody have any guesses? Let's take a look. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Ah, 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 achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up in the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was a lost mitten silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw he still had his new mittens. And that's the end. So, as you can tell, all the animals kind of went everywhere. Hopefully, if maybe they were done in cardstock, they wouldn't fly away as much. Or another suggestion would be, if especially this is something that would be done a lot, you can always get little tiny stuffed animal versions of the animals and see, maybe use like a pillowcase and kind of, maybe that would help. So the extension activity that I would do with this is that I would have the children design their own mittens. So you could always, go through the website again, and you could get this mitten. Just give every child one copy of it. Except you can also just go ahead and just find a basic normal mitten shape, or you can always draw one yourself and just photocopy it, make a bunch of copies for how many kids might be there. This one just had like the knitting pattern. If you don't want that, you can always just draw your own and make photocopies. And then for the kids to design them, what you can have out on a big table is a lot of like different markers, different like crayons, colored pencils, different mediums that they can use. Maybe some like scrap sheets of paper that they can kind of like tear up or like cut out. Maybe some the kids' scissors, and then glue sticks, and they can design and kind of create their own mitten. So that's about it, and thank you very much for listening, and have a nice day.